This is CoolCleveland.com correspondent Laura Varcho, and I'm here today with Susan Polakoff Shaw, owner and chief media maven of Polakoff Communications. Susan's career has spanned 25 years and includes working 10 Olympic Games, most recently the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. Welcome,
Hello.
Susan.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you are living the dream of combining your love of journalism and sports. Can you tell us how you got started?
Yeah, I grew up in rural Indiana, in central Indiana. Not a lot of girls competed in sports when I was growing up. And there were only 3 channels on TV, if anyone remembers that. And I remember watching The Wide World of Sports as a kid and listening to Jim McKay and being completely enthralled and fascinated with this show that took you outside of the United States, let alone away from my little town in Indiana. So, you got to see beautiful places in the world where these sporting events were happening, which I just absolutely loved. I was the biggest tomboy growing up. So the fact that I could watch this and hear and learn about these sports, and I was so fascinated that I took a little cassette recorder and like a little geek, and put the microphone up to the TV and recorded these shows and played them back. And then, of course, at that time, ABC, which the Wide World of Sports was on, also covered the Olympic Games. And when that came, I just was insanely obsessed with the Olympics. And the first one I remember was probably 1968, and yes, I'm dating myself. But I was probably 9, and just being enraptured with this thing in this other country. So it was the Mexico City Games that I remember. And I remember, this is even before there was a U.S. Olympic Committee. They put on the screen, if you want to help the U.S. Olympic team, send $5 and we'll send you this patch. So I don't even know where I got the $5, but I did, and I sent away for it, and I got this patch.
All right, let's show that you have these patches. This is great. This is the Munich one.
Yeah, that's what I did, and that was...
And here is the Mexico one. That is awesome. So the die was cast.
Yes, it was.
All right, and you actually got your start, right? You're a forerunner of women in sports media.
Yeah, when I started, there weren't a lot of women doing sports PR and sports media, sports press operations, definitely not. And there weren't a lot of women in the interview area or locker room, so there weren't a lot of female sports journalists. Of course, that's happily changed. There's a lot. But there were just a handful of us doing this way back when.
All right. Now, which Olympics was the first Olympics that you covered?
The first one I worked was 1988 in Seoul, Korea, which was probably my least favorite. The culture did not really embrace women, and especially American women at that time. So I had some authority in my little universe where I was working. I was a USA team press attaché at that time, and I would be called into these meetings with these Korean men who are running the games, and they wouldn't even look at me in the eye. So there's a few more stories that I can tell about that, which I won't, but some of my friends know. But that was really hard from a gender standpoint to try to work in that society at that time in history. And it was pretty challenging, and I like a lot of food, but I'm sorry, I do not like Korean food.
Now, how was it in Beijing? Do you have a memorable moment that you like to share
Beijing
with
was
us?
great. That was my 3rd trip there, and my role was a little different 20-some years later. I'm working for the International Olympic Committee now, and I was overseeing press operations at the key venues. So I was working in the mornings. I was at swimming every single day, gymnastics, track and field, basketball was every medal game that the U.S. team won. Making sure that the interviews were happening, the press conferences were happening, the phone lines worked, the electricity was still on. I mean, all these things from a press operations standpoint. But probably my favorite memory, one of them was probably gymnastics, when Nastia Liukin won the all-around gold medal. 20 years ago, I saw her father win gold in Seoul when he was a member of the Soviet Union team.
Wow.
And they the family came to the United States several years after 1988, and I've stayed in touch with, through my work in gymnastics, with the family and Valerie, the coach, her father, and I've been really good friends. So after she won her gold medal, here's the daughter, and I'm watching, it's just one of those weird moments, like I watched the dad, now I'm watching the daughter win gold. So Valerie, her dad, and I had our picture taken together, our little 20-year anniversary picture where one of us is holding a 2 and a 0, so it's really cute. That was just a really cool moment.
That is awesome. Now, what are you working on next? What is your next big project coming up?
I'll be working in Vancouver for the Olympic Games, the 2010 Olympic Games. I have to stop and think now that the games are every 2 years. And I'll be working for the International Olympic Committee again, overseeing press ops again. So gearing up toward that, I'm writing a lot of boring papers right now, and my recommendations and suggestions on how I think they should do things, which I'm not sure everyone will listen to, but I've been asked to write this report. So that's kind of, I'm doing boring stuff right now, but it's always something.
You are the authority.
Something like that.
Okay. Now, you're not a native Clevelander, but you have been here about 17 years. And I was just curious to know what your favorite thing about Cleveland is.
You know, when I travel, I love traveling internationally. That's what got me hooked on the Olympic Games. But, you know, when I come back here, I'm pretty amazed how this is still sort of the Midwest and how diverse it is, and how I can go in my grocery store and hear 4 different languages, and the food, like I say, I love food, different food, and just to be able to have that, you know, there's not this big search to try to find a good Hungarian pastry or a great beer or, you know, I'm just amazed how much there is concentrated in this little area of ethnic diversity, and I just think that's the coolest thing about Cleveland.
It is very cool, and Cleveland is very cool.
It's very cool.
All
The
right.
food here is very cool. I think I'm obsessed with it, but after I travel, I'm so burned out and tired. I want the ultimate ethnic comfort food, so I always tell my husband, can we go to Sokolowski's, please, when we get home, please? And that just like solves all my problems. A good plate of pierogies just kind of, it's where it's at.
That's right, comfort food, baby.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much, Susan, for joining us today at coolcleveland.com, and we wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll run into you at Sokolowski's sometime soon.
I will have the biggest plate of food there. That will be me. So thank you.
Okay, great. This is coolcleveland.com correspondent Laura Varcho, thanking Susan Polakoff Shaw for joining us today. Have a great week in cool Cleveland.